Burgess and Bolton's weekly wrap-up.
Hello, Ben. How are you?
Hello, Jeremy. Happy Friday. I'm in a new place.
You are. You're in an office.
Yes. Hence the things we're going to be talking about today.
Indeed. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Burgess and Bolton's weekly wrap-up, where we look at everything to do with the London market, technology, change, innovation. And this week, we are going to be looking at the office and remote working and all that stuff. But firstly, Ben, I thought, I haven't got my bell. Where's my bell gone?
Oh.
Ding, ding. Right, we have the news. Yesterday we ran a Blueprint 2 deep dive day, which was very busy. And there was lots of conversation about some of the detail and strategic vision of the Blueprint. And today I just thought I'd reflect on a poll that one of the speakers ran as part of their presentation. It's kind of just a sentiment poll with ops and IT professionals. About 40 people. It was a streamed event, so there's around 40 people in the session. So it's quite a nice indication about what people are thinking about. So what word best describes your current feeling about Blueprint 2? A little bit unclear, but still a big opportunity. I think I probably agree with that. And, you know, Bob James was saying that there'll be further updates as we go into June. I think June the 19th, they've got another update event, which will probably put more clarity around some of the detail. And we'll be discussing that as well the following day at TinTech. So it's a pretty decent timing. So I'd probably agree with that. And again, what do you take from the morning session? Still ambiguity. I think that's probably true for the very reasons that I've just said around the.
I think we'll come on to this, but I think it's now moving into that phase almost of the human. What are we supposed to do here? How are we supposed to buy in and engage with it? That feels a lot of what's coming through here, which is going to be the big challenge for a cross-market initiative.
Yeah, defo. Next one, what best describes your current planning for Blueprint 2? So most people have got a high-level plan and approach. Quite a lot still haven't. So that's a little bit worrying. I think the high-level plan and approach, one of the things I took away from the event is people are on a kind of digital transformation or business or operations transformation journey anyway. They've already decided that they need to be able to have the digital capabilities in order to compete. So I think it's how those two things dove together. I think it's be interesting.
I mean, I've just done an event, a tech event, and this morning, and actually it was interesting talking to some of the people there about how much they still feel the insurers are behind on technology generally and how resistant they are to change. Even for really, really quite obvious stuff that I thought would be in there. So I don't think this would be unusual.
No. So what's your confidence in the latest Blueprint 2 plan? Medium to low. Again, that's a little bit disappointing, but I think it comes back to that talked about before. And then,
well, I would say though that when you've got that kind of low figure, you've really got to do a PR job on it as well. I don't mean just fluff, but I mean you've got to. That would say to me that communications need to be much better around it, really.
Yeah.
Because part of this is that the people you're talking to at your event are the people who are going to be implementing it. So if they're not confident, then you've got to get them to be confident and they know what's going on.
Yeah,
it's as much comms as it is the actual hardware and software.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think that's something that came out strongly from the discussions yesterday. What was the biggest opportunity? So, to my point earlier, improved adoption of digital platforms. I think people are on that process of updating their systems, and this is just another I guess lever that they're pulling internally in order to get that buy-in and get the budget and everything else moving forward. So that's pretty.
So transformation wise, that would say they're trying to just get the digital thing baked in, but ultimately the benefit there is innovation and client service, isn't it?
Yes.
The first three are kind of getting to base camp.
Yeah, I think so. And then you're right. And then the other two are outcomes.
Good outcomes.
Yeah.
But they're not there yet. They're psychologically not there yet.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Biggest concern here. So change management and adoption, kind of a big benefits. One. And linking into that, to your point, what's in it for me? And that's not what's in it for me in terms of my organization, but what's in it for me and my role.
I think we forget that people do the job they do and they think they're probably quite good at it. And they're saying, where does this add? And you need the specifics, and you need, again, it's back to, I was talking this morning with someone saying, we've got to often at events, not criticism of the event, but I think often you don't get those actual users, talking about how they would do it, how they would use it. We're still at that stage of often it's tech and ops people talking about this, not the actual people using it. So it's interesting. Yeah,
interesting. How do you plan on sending data to the digital gateway? That's a little bit technical, but it's a mix, as you probably expect. This is pretty interesting, I thought. The final one. So what is your current stance on the various digital platforms? So only using UPL or only using white space, but everyone really use it. And that comes back to kind of, I think, the Marsh press release where they essentially said, horses for courses.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. Also, PPL are supposed to have, all the market share, but white space is there. I think it's going to be interesting how that plays out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's probably data that we would see as well. I think it accords with that there is going to be businesses will try out lots of different things and they'll ditch the ones that eventually don't get used or don't pass muster. And that's competition, which we've been talking about for quite some time. Yeah. I don't think there's a kind of sense, which is good. There's where there's one destination. I think there's lots potentially for these organisations, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, definitely, totally agree.
So really interesting survey that.
Yeah, it is. So thanks for doing that for us and sending through the results. We will be putting out a summary of some of the key findings. I've already put out the results of the pre-event survey, and they're pretty interesting as well. So we'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks ahead of TinTech. So let's move on. I wish I had my bell. That's so annoying.
Is it a real bell?
No, it's just a button.
Digital. It's a digital bell.
It's a digital bell. Yeah, of course it is.
Digital platform.
Yeah. Okay, digital platforms, TinTech in a few weeks' time. And as part of that, we're, as always, talking about not just tech, but the people side of things. And I think you spotted this article, Ben, pretty interesting about home working and the risks it faces for London's economy. It's pretty interesting stuff.
So I'm a great believer in the way that the social discourse goes, and eventually the ideas will drive what actually happens. And I think this is another of these articles which, of course, it's going to be somewhat biased. It's for the Centre for Cities. Guess what their conclusion will be. But it has picked up on something that we're going to pick up on as well, which is what is the measurable productivity impact of what we have currently in terms of the working arrangements. I think intuitively people can say, I don't like it, I do like it, it's good, it's bad, or you're flexible, whatever. But ultimately, these studies are being now coming out, and we've got some work doing on this as well, which is that if there's a cost to it and it's damaging, it's a negative impact on productivity, then the investors will step in and you'll have a much more serious situation. And this is one of the first of these that's claiming, at least, I don't know whether they're right or wrong, because other studies claim the opposite, that it does impact negatively on productivity. And that's a big problem for the UK in general anyway. And you don't want the jewel in the crown of the UK at the moment, which is the financial services businesses, being hit by this. So I would say this is pretty serious. I think, you and I think both agree that you need to have more of it. The face-to-face is incredibly important. I don't want to go over all the arguments of the past, but for me, this is the sort of evidence we need to say, right, let's get to a balance that's going to work, and let's get to a new working environment, and then we have measurable outcomes. Otherwise, randomly leaving it up to people as to what they do in a work environment, I think is not the way forward, and it frustrates people depending on which part of the argument they sit on, actually. So I've said before, I think one of the reasons that one of the issues we've had post-COVID or during COVID was businesses saying, well, we need to attract our staff into the office, which has sort of been the objective. But now we're talking about, okay, that's fine, but working with our clients or our prospective clients and driving an economy is much more than just getting your staff to turn up.
Yeah, definitely.
In my view, so I think it's important to take this argument forward.
Yeah, and also this isn't kind of new. If you take the productivity argument, which you've made, I would also say there's an argument for creativity as well. And this is an old now article from 2015, where they are highlighting what the office does and our social interactions, and the way that those chance meetings in hallways or at the water cooler or having a cup of tea or whatever create those interactions, those sparks of innovation that then drive your organization forward. And that's just anecdotal. It's proved by the statistics here, where sales increased as a function of meeting colleagues within the organization.
I think we talked about this a bit during COVID, which was about the trauma of it, and I think there's a kind of collective PTSD thing going on, which is that, and you need distance and time to work that sort of stuff out. But I think we're probably reaching a point where people are going, look, I was just reflecting on the train this morning, it's pretty normal, right? Pretty much most things are back to where they were in lots of ways. I think the data in that previous article is a bit out of date, actually. I don't think there's as few people coming into the city, for example, as that claims. It was probably just because they did it 6 months ago during rail strikes. But it's changed a lot now, I think, and feels to me more like we're back to a kind of norm. And as soon as that starts to happen, then maybe you have shed a lot of that sense of trauma, and it's in the past. It's a distant memory as opposed to something very recent. So hard to know how much of that is subjective and real, or whether. But in the end, we run businesses where you've got to be quite hard-nosed, I think, and make things happen.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny that you were reflecting on the train, because this also said that you have your best ideas, on the way to work or in the shower. But actually, that's what the point of it is, when you take those ideas and you share them with colleagues and other people, and you get confirmation that it's either right, wrong, it gets formed. It's very rare that you come up with an idea on your own and you go, that's genius. Let's just do it.
Well, I mean, at a very simple anecdotal level, my wife's working on a number of projects in the last few weeks. She got quite down about it. And she was at home, and I said, "Well, go." She goes into the office twice a week or 3 times a week, but I said, "Just go tomorrow into the office, because you're sitting at home dwelling on things and going." And she did, and it was much better. She came home and said, "Yeah, it was all right. It's not as bad as I think." You know, problem shared and all that stuff is really important.
It is. It is indeed. Good, excellent. I think that is going to wrap everything up. This short, sweet one.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. We've got a hiatus next week, haven't we, Ben? Because we're both away.
We're both away. Yes, we are. We're on our extravagant, exotic holidays.
Yeah, I'm going to Northumberland.
Oh, are you? Well, I'm going to Rhodes. I'm going to an extravagant one.
All right, you can do that for both of us then.
Yeah, exactly.
Good, excellent. Right, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will see you in a couple of weeks when we get back from our break. We're not going together, by the way. Oh, obviously, because I'm going to Northumberland, going to Rhodes.
We're not Morecambe and Wise.
Yeah, we should do the Christmas special in bed.
I think that would be definitely not politically correct these days.
No. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.